All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott from Jeff Teaches Programming, and in the last video, as you can see, I started version 2 of our payroll program, EFCore, and the goal of this program, as opposed to the last one, is twofold. Number one, I'd like to set it up so there's only two forms, our startup form, which I have right now, and then a second form, which we'll get to in just a couple minutes. And that second form is going to handle all four different payroll types. That's the first thing. Once I get that working, and I'm working on it right now, but once I get that working, then the plan is to convert this into an ASP.NET, which is Active Server Pages.NET, so it looks and performs more like a web application, and I'd like to actually put this out on the internet. Once I do that, when I do that, that'll be it for the C# portion of this. I have no idea how many videos that's going to be yet. It'll be probably upwards of 200 total. I'm on 152 right now. So if you take a look right now, this is what I have. Now I had mistakes in here. The biggest mistake was I didn't have, from the last video, I didn't have PayrollEFCore02 set up as my startup project. So that was the biggest problem. Also, I went in here and in my forms, I removed everything. So the only form I still have in here right now is my new startup form. All right, so if you see this right now, if I run it, it doesn't look like much, but it's a start. So I changed the writing in here. I changed this to startup form for version 2 of the C# OOP EFCore payroll application. This is an updated payroll program adding to the entity framework core component of the previous program. We will use a single set of text boxes and labels and also a single data grid view control to handle all four employee types. This is a CRUD program and all the data will be saved to a new database called Payroll Database ASP because, again, it'll become an ASP app in the future. The rest of the previous program requirements are intact, meaning there's 4 employee categories. I got to remove that, each with its own C# form. I'll get rid of that in a second. You'll have an hourly worker who works 0 to 84 hours a week and makes 0 to $99.99 per hour. A piece worker who makes 0 to 100 pieces per hour and is paid 1 cent to $1 per piece. Commission worker who gets a commission between 0 and 30% with a sales amount between 0 and $100,000, and a salaried worker making between 0 and $100,000. Validity checks are made for each employee type, and I got to fix that. If they are met, the gross pay is calculated accordingly. Right now, there's nothing in here. If I click Show Other Form, it just says Show Other Form here, another form here, and Exit just says to exit the program here. All right, so let's fix those few things that we had first. That means getting rid of this here and right here. So let's fix those. All right, there was also something in here that said, yeah, there was 2 blank spaces in here. We'll make that 1 there. All right, so there are 4 employee categories. All right. So let's just change this, meaning there are 4 employee categories. Like that. All right, so we've got that done. Validity checks are made for each type, and so file, save all. Let's run it one last time. All right, so we've got that. That fixed this. Meaning there are 4 employee categories and is calculated accordingly. Okay, so everything that I wanted to get done there is done. All right, so let's talk about what we want to do here. All right. First of all, in our startup, all right, in our load event, we are loading. So this is load the label with the program description. Okay, that's the first thing we want to do. Second thing that we're going to want to do afterwards is we will populate the data grid view control, the combo box control with the 4 employee types. So that was CBO employee type dot items dot add, and this will be simply hourly. I'm not going to put employee in there. I'm just going to put, I'll explain why in a bit. All right, so CBO employee type dot items dot add. Second will be piece worker. Then we will have commission. And finally, oops. And that will be salaried. Now, the reason I didn't put worker in there is we are going to end up passing either the word hourly, or the word piece worker, or the word commission, or the word salaried. One of those things will be passed when we go to the other form. So if we look in here right now, it looks exactly the same, except when you click now, inside of here, we've got hourly, piece worker, commission, and salaried. All right? Now, one thing we can do is we can set this so that by default, so we will, we will set the default employee type to hourly. And the only reason it's set to hourly is it's the first one. All right, so we will say CBO employee type dot items, dot selected index equals 0. So what you should notice now is that when we first start this, it should be set to hourly automatically. So the word hourly will be in the box. There you go. Now, is that a big thing? No, of course not. But it's just, something that we did put in there. Now, when we click this button here to show the other form, right now it's not doing anything. So let's make it do something. Now, I too want there to be another form. All right? And we'll just call it, I don't know. Let's quickly create another form here. In fact, we want to put it into forms. So we want to add a form. Let's call it what it is. So it's called FRM, I don't know. FRM Employee Manager. How's that? All right. Couple things that we'll do right away. First of all, we're going to make it yellow. Well, let's set the start position to center. Whoops, to center screen. Got that. Let's have the text be very similar to what we had the text before up here. So this one will say then, main employee form. So now it says main employee form. Okay. main employee form for version 2 of this program. Let's make it so it's the same color as the other one. So we'll make it that light yellow. And finally, let's make it the same size as the other one. All right. So the other one, the size on this was a lot bigger than it has to be. How's that? But we're going to leave it at that size anyway. All right. So now what we want to do next is we want to make this button here operational. So instead of having it say show another form here, we actually want it to show another form. All right. So the first thing we want to do is we want to get the selected employee type. All right. So if the CBO employee type dot selected index, if for some reason it's equal to -1, that means we haven't selected anything. So what we will do is we will put up a message box, all right, and just say something like you must select one of the 4 employee types. All right, so this will say no employee type selected. This will be an OK button, and we will say error for a second, but it's really not an error. We'll just give it as information. All right, so we'll do it like that, and then we'll just return. Okay, now to test that, okay, let's do a file, save all. Let's run the program. Now this is now selected. Now there should be nothing selected. So you must select one of the 4 employee types, and then it just stops. All right. I'm being very literal with this. All right. So if we get down to here, they did select. So if this is the case, let's bring this comment down here. So this will be check for no selected employee type. So here we're going to get the selected employee type. All right, so we're going to say FRM Employee Manager. We'll call it EM for Employee Manager equals new FRM Employee Manager. All right. EM.owner equals this. What we want to do is we want to hide the current form and show the other one. Okay. This dot hide. Form.show. EM.show. Hopefully I did that right. We'll find out in a minute. So file, save all. Let's run this. We do have one shown. Boom, there's our other one. All right, I am in my living room, and that's why you heard the clock. Okay, so let's close that. So all of that right now, at least, is working. Now, because I'm feeling a little bit lazy right now, I'm going to go in here. Oops, I'm going to go in here. And I can grab any one of these in here I want. I'll just grab the first one here. Forms. Let's bring it up in here. There we go. That's just going to allow us to exit the program. All right, so if we come back here, and now we double click our exit button. Guess I had that in there already. And there's that. Oh, and I'm missing these. There we go. So let's see if we're up to that point now. So save all. Now you've already seen we can get to the other form. There's nothing on the form and I can't get back yet. But if I click exit now, are you sure you want to exit? If I say no, I stay there. If I say yes, the program exits. Okay, so I've got all of that stuff is now done. All right. So what I want to start doing then is I want to start working with the new well, I'm thinking about this right now. I want what I have in here, everything is correct. But when I pass this, when I create the new thing, I want to make sure I send it the CBO employee type dot. I don't want the selected index. I want that text. Selected gets the text that's in the editable portion. That's what I want. Like that. Now it's giving me an error because right now that is not expecting that to be sent into FRM Employee Manager. Well, we'll fix that in just a minute. Okay. All right. Now this form is going to be a dynamic form. And what I mean by that, I want it to automatically adjust so that if the you pass an hourly in, it shows the hourly labels and text boxes. If you choose a piece worker, it shows you the piece worker labels and text boxes. If you choose a commission worker, the commission worker labels and text boxes. And if it's a salaried worker, just the label and text box for a salaried worker. All right, so we'll do that. That's actually not going to be that difficult. All right, but we want to have, again, we want to be able to set this up so that it's very generic. We're going to have a generic data grid view. We're going to have a generic labels and generic text boxes. All right, so let's go to this second form here that's right here. All right, now when you look right here, there's load, but right here, what I wanted here is I'm going to put in a string, and it's just going to say, we'll call it employee type. Now, hopefully, by doing that, when we go back to our other form, that's gone now. There's no error. And now it should just run like it did before. Now, this is the first time we pass something directly from one form into another form. But now, when I click this, it now has the word hourly passed in. Hopefully, that made some sense to everybody. All right. So what we want to start doing then is we want to come in and let's come in, and at the top here, this one for now, I'm not going to worry about this one anymore, this startup. Okay, I'm more worried now about this one right here. Okay, and at the top, I'm going to change this from employee type to just type. Why? I'm going to show you right now. All right. And at the top up here, at the very top, okay, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say string employee type. Now, why did I do that? Because in here, we'll fix it in a minute, but I want to say employee type equals type. All right. Now, I'm going to put this even outside of this. All right. Doesn't like that either. Okie dokie. Thought it would take that. It says there it's declared but never used. Well, we're using it down here. Well, I'm going to fix that. In fact, I'm going to stop right now, see if I can figure out that problem. And then once we do, we're going to start to work on configuring this form for the right type of employee. In fact, I guess before I do, just to show you what we are going to do in here. All right. Okay. This is going to have, we'll put in 2 buttons. So I guess I will go back to the other form. Why? Because I'm going to steal the 2 buttons that are in there. So let's copy these, go back to here, and paste them in. Now, I got to unlock these, and these are going to be our return to other form and exit buttons. All right. The other things I want to quickly put in here, I want to do it quickly, is just so you can see everything that's going to be done here. Let's put in, we've got our 2 buttons. Let's put in our data grid view. This is going to literally hold all the records for whatever employee type we're currently working with. Okay, let's make this a little bit bigger. Bigger down here, and we'll move it. That actually should be big enough. All right. Now, lastly, we want to put 2 labels in here. One there, and one there. You've seen me do this on countless occasions. So we're going to come in here, and the first thing we're going to do is we are going to set the auto size to false so we can make these bigger. All right, we are going to change the color to the dark yellow so they stand out. All right, and we are going to add 2 text boxes. One, and there's the other one. Now, few things, all right, just so you see everything that we're doing in here. First of all, let's make these. I don't know if it'll let me change the font size on all of them together or not. Yeah, it is. All right, so we're going to change the font size on all of these to 20-point bold and Arial, which may look funky when we do that, but that's okay. All right, we are going to take each one of these and make them a little bit bigger. Let's move that down. Move this down and this down. We're going to make these a little bigger as well. That looks pretty good. And we'll try to somewhat at least center this. All right. Okay, so this is going to be our second form. I'm going to leave these called label 1, label 2, label 3, or text box 1 and text box 2. In fact, let's just change it. We'll change this to, I don't even want to change it. In this data grid view, let's just call this DGV employee. All right, in fact, we will change this. We'll just call this LBL label 1. And the next one will be called LBL label 2. This will be called TXT text box 1. And this will be called TXT text box 2. And why am I using these generic names? All right, hopefully at least it makes sense as to why I'm using these generic names. And that is because what I want to do in here is this is either going to say, for example, hours worked, hourly rate, or it's going to say commission percentage, sales amount, and it'll have the associated values here. All right. Okay. Now, again, let me just be real honest with you here. There's a lot of ways that this program could be improved, quite a bit. I'm going in and combining stuff where I probably should have written one thing. I'm writing more than one, etc. And I would have been better off probably taking more time to pretty this up a little bit. I didn't do so. All right. And that's okay. So this is now show other form. And this is for our exit. So for the exit, there's that. I think I'm missing a curly brace somehow. There we go. And for our show other form, again, I'm just going to steal what I had before. All right. In fact, what we do, we should just put this in its own routine, but so we'll call here show other form now. Private void show other form now. We'll paste that in. All right. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. All right. So let's see. Now I will have to make a change here. Don't worry. I don't have to check for that anymore. I can get rid of that. I don't have to get the employee type, etc. Okay. So all I'm going to say here is FRM startup, new startup, I guess it is, and we'll call it NS for new startup, equals new FRM new startup. All right. And this will now be NS for new startup. And so will this. Now I should be able to exit from either program and go back and forth, or from either form rather, and go back and forth between forms. So, oh, you still have that error. And that is that error here that I have to fix. Figure out where to put that line of code. Thought it would go here, to be honest with you. Okay, let's see if that fixed it. So File, Save All. There's our main form. There's our other form. There's our main form. There's our other form. So we can go back and forth now. These don't look like they're lining up together, but we're going to check that in just a second. And exit. And I can exit from either form. So let's double check and make sure with our startup form here that we've got this showing in the middle. Start position should be center screen. File, Save All. Now, last thing, and then I'm going to stop this video. There we are. All right, so I'll be back to continue on momentarily.